Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please stand for our national anthem. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Aqueduct. A mix of sun and clouds here at the Big A. It's a bit milder today than it's been the last couple of days, and the temperature will get into the upper 50s. The main track is fast. The turf courses are firm. The portable rail is out at 12 feet on the outer turf and at 9 feet on the inner. And right now we'll take a look at the day's changes. In the first race, scratch 1, Dakota Dancer, 8, Steppenhawk, and 13, Madame Rose. Scratch 1, 8, and 13. Note that number 12, Princess Ariana, will run with shoes front and hind. Second race, there are no changes. The third race is the Notebook Stakes, and no changes there. In race 4, scratch 1A, Hawkish. Scratch 2, Analyze It. Also scratch number 6, Milton the Monster, 11, Backside of the Moon, and 12, Chris and Dave. Once again, in race 4, scratch 1A, 2, 6, 11, and 12. In race 5, which begins the pick 6, scratch number 9, Fight on Lucy. Scratch the 9. In the 6th race, there's a rider change at number 4, Sunset Louise, to Luis Saez. Luis Saez rides number 4, Sunset Louise. Scratch the 10, Mrs. Boomer, and the 14, Raymond Road. Race 6, scratch 10 and 14, and Saez is on the 4. 7th race, scratch number 6, Amalfi Princess. 10, Bold Confection. Scratch 12, So Gracious. 13, Halo City, and 14, Prairie Fire. Scratch 6, 10, 12, 13, and 14. Number 8, Tass, runs with 1 aluminum pad on. Aluminum pad on, number 8, Tass. In the 8th race, scratch 13, Blue Grotto, through the 16, Corkman. Scratch 13, 14, 15, and 16. Today's 9th race is the Key Scent Stakes, and there are no changes. In the 10th race, a rider change at number 7, Devour, to Jalon Samuel. Jalon Samuel is on number 7, Devour. Scratch the also eligibles, 13 More Than a Conqueror through the 16 Mr. JT. 10th race, scratch 13, 14, 15, and 16. Main track fast, turf courses firm. We'll be back at about 11:20 to recap the changes. First race post is at 11:50 a.m. Up next, talking horses, Serling and Stabile.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Talking Horses, presented by Naira Bets or whatever it's presented by. He's Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Serling. We don't have much time, so we'll get right to work. You need to head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member, use the promo code BONUS200 at NairaBets.com. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. At Naira Bets today, bet 100 on Woodbine and Delmar each, I believe. $20 bonus. You got to opt in, win or lose, Woodbine and Delmar. And finally, America's Day at the Races. This continues 11:30 to 4 on FS2 and then 4 to 6 on FS1, covering races from here and Churchill. All right, Anthony, race number 1. All right, start the conversation with the number 3, Palace Gossip, who you have on top and I have second in here. This is the debut of this horse. I guess the question is whether or not she can shake loose. If she can shake loose in here, and you have some potential other speed from horses like Sinfully Sweet or the 10, I don't know if New York Supreme really shows speed anymore. Sarah Gaze may try to go. Is she still the horse she was here? If she is, she's going to be tough to beat, but she was on a gold rail in this race.
I was going to say this was opening weekend last year, and she was helped by the being inside. She came back, and she ran open company behind Mr. Karas, who's turned out to be pretty useful. We didn't see her for a long time, obviously, 11 months, and I like the fact that Tony
Those are race 2 picks, guys. Thanks.
I like the fact that Tony Dutrow ran her on the dirt last time and kind of let her knock the rust off, regardless of surface. And now she gets back to what you would imagine is her preferred surface, gets Lasix for the first time. And
she ran well 2 back. The pace didn't exactly hold together that well in her race 2 back. I thought she ran well in there, lost neck to Gotten Girl. It's a very, very logical horse in this race. There's no 2 ways around it. As far as Sarah Gaze, who you've got second, I've had enough. I don't like this horse. I think Christophe Clement, I think is a good throw in this race. Those picks aren't accurate, actually. She would be my 4th choice. The 1 is scratched. Maybe if scratches didn't come out 1 second before the show started, we could actually do that. Not the truck's fault, nobody's fault, other than the fact the scratches came out ridiculously late. She ran okay in here. She did have the absolute run of the race. And I don't know. Okay,
I can get frustration.
She was on the rail last time out. It just seems to me like Christophe Clement can't hurry enough to get races into this horse in the season ending, and that's not how you race a horse that you're really a big fan of.
No, 10 days back. But like you said, Andy, she's a New York bred. You know, it's funny, the urgency here would lead me to believe that Christophe doesn't think she can run a step on the main track because...
Well, she can't. Obviously,
right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
He would leave. Well, he doesn't leave horses here in the winter, though. You have to realize that.
Correct.
If he actually
so he's trying to
ran
get
his horses here in the winter. My picks in this race, by the way, are 2, 3, 5, 11. Where did you go?
I have 3, 11, 9,
Thanks,
2.
guys. We got it.
Okay.
I like the 2. You should be dancing.
Okay.
I don't know what Luis Saez was doing with this horse last time out, but looking at this horse's turf form, it's a little ridiculous that this horse was where she was last time out. The reality is when Jose Ortiz rode her in her prior turf race, she ran a race that could win here. She should get a good trip, and more importantly, she's going to be a better price today. I think there's other alternatives, and Mabel may perceive the bloom to be off the rose. I don't, because I thought she got a preposterous ride in her last race. I like her chances at a good price to maybe upset the 3. Also threw in the 5, Warren Paradise, a first-time starter for Jorge Abreu. Boy, his horse in the first race, Aruba, is quickly setting a record for the unluckiest horse in horse racing.
Unbelievable, right?
That horse has really been unlucky. He lost to a Grade 1 horse, too, yesterday. See what plays out yesterday in race number 1.
I was thinking of you and that horse
Race
at the wire and
number
won the
2, it's really no form to go on. Anthony and I have gone in very, very different directions. What do you like about Tamburo Socks?
There's very, very little form to go off, like you said. I thought the race... I thought the horse had a decent enough trip until the stretch, 2 starts back. I thought the dirt race in Saratoga was okay as well. Listen, I want an absolute spread here. I want to use 6 horses in this race if I'm playing.
Okay,
pick
but
fours or pick
what about the
fives.
7, Forestwood Lane, a first-time
4
starter?
for
single?
18 is the first full to race. My thinking.
4-year-old first-time starter in November.
My thinking is with a first-time starter in here, how good will they have to be to either win or at the very least get a piece of this field?
You and I have a basic disagreement and things like that. I look for horses that are better than they might appear at a first glance, and one of those horses is the number 1, my brother Neil, who takes a big class drop, gets a huge rider change, has consistently run speed figures that are fast, if not faster than just about anybody in here, is second off a layoff after that last race. I just thought this was a very logical horse dropping down. I don't think I'm going to get 5-2. I didn't predict this horse will be the favorite. I'm not sure it will be the favorite, but I do think that he's the horse to beat in here. The 12 is Dangerous, Go Johnny Go, trying the dirt for the first time. You haven't seen much, but it is Tony Dutro's horses have been running well this year. I'll use that one. And I thought Out of the Breach, sloppy track going long last time. You look at the first race, this horse ran in a sprint. The only time this horse ran in a sprint, ran against horses that would 1 through about 20 would kill this field. Got a 51 buyer, makes them competitive. I'm about the 1, 10, and 12 in this race, not using anybody else.
Okay.
Race number 3, stakes portion, the Notebook. Who trained Notebook?
Frank Martin.
Wayne Lucas.
What? You know, I want to say you asked me this last year and I gave you the same answer and you gave me the same response.
Wayne Lucas trained Notebook.
Why do I think Frank Martin?
I don't know. I don't know. You're not usually wrong about those
Yeah,
things.
I don't
Take a
know.
look at Senbei winning the New York Breeders' Futurity over Danfuski Island. Unless you think that Danfuski Island going to the Kelly Breen Barn is going to improve dramatically, I don't see how this horse is beating Senbei, who's supposed to stalk Buston Pietra. He stalked last time and was successful. And maybe it's too easy, but boy, he looks like an hour and a half.
That's the way. That's the best way to put it, right, Andy? It almost looks too easy. He's beaten the horse that has accomplished the most after him. I mean, I guess is the second place finish in the Aspirant and the 2 finishes behind Senbei. I mean, and he toyed with him last time. So I don't know what, like you said, maybe to move to the Kelly Breen Barn, but he's not leaving a bad barn, Jeremiah Engelhard. There's nothing.
I'm
that
not
points.
trying to beat it to 1 to
No,
5 shot
me
here
either.
at Senbei. If this horse loses, I'm going to lose. I'm interested to see what Buston Pietra does. Obviously, the going gets much tougher, and this horse is going to have to outrun Senbei, deal with that one, and hold off the other ones. It's not going to be easy, but this horse's debut was obviously he has to get faster to win this race, and he may have to get faster to be second. But I don't know. I think that the 5 and 6 are jokes. We'll discuss 6 in a minute because you obviously disagree with me. Obviously, the 1 trying the turf for the first time, a dirt for the first time might be a little bit interesting, but I think Buston Pietra may be okay. And I'm not saying this horse is supposed to hold off Senbei, but I won't be surprised when he outruns his odds. It's a big price morning line.
It wasn't that I completely disagree with you about Kenner.
You do. You've got him
Well,
on the
I
board,
didn't
and
like-
I think he's the worst horse in the race.
I didn't like the fact that they ran Buston Pietra for the tag. I know he's a homebred, but he ran well enough that he would have been competitive in a special weight race.
Doesn't the race he runs supersede where they ran him? What do you think? They expect him to drop dead or something?
No, God forbid.
I'm just saying, like,
no,
I
I
don't understand.
yeah, I guess. I see what you're saying.
He runs a race. I mean, Kelly Kipp ran for a tag first time out.
No, I'm very well aware.
It's not like good horses haven't run for tags first time out. As far as Kenner,
Now, you were out. I got to tell you this. Man, were you right yesterday. That horse was awful.
well, the horse he's talking about is Catching Cupid, the horse who was
Wow.
about even money in the last race yesterday, and I think he's around the 316 spot. I don't even think he's made the 8th.
That was one of your better you've had some good opinions this week that have cashed, but that was a good one to not cash.
Isn't this the same horse? If you draw a line through his last race,
He's no
he's
good.
1,000 to 1 in this race. 1,000 to 1.
But he ran his last race.
No, he did. Except
it's
he was
not as
on the
good.
gold rail, and the horse that was second behind him who rode the gold rail came back and stunk the joint up at even money. That whole race stinks. There's something funny about that last race.
You might be right. I mean,
Because this horse-
you were certainly right about Catching Cupid.
Yeah. The winner of that race, the double paid almost 3.5 times the parlay. That Shasper
Well, because that horse
The
was-
more you look, the more interesting that horse was.
That horse
It was a huge price in multis.
and the other horse was just pounded off the board. The
No,
fave?
no, that's not why. No. It's
Did you see the difference in the pick fives?
You're actually making an argument for the opposite of the case. The winner of the last race was 6-5. If that horse was, or even money, I mean, the favorite. If that horse was overbet, then the price of the winner should have gone way, way up. The fact that the price of the winner was, he was about $80 to $90 to win based on double prices. Yet he paid $26, especially in the face of the fact that there was a horse that went up to 6-5, is astounding. That horse got significantly bet more heavily in the win. Even the Exacta paid like $185 for $2. I think it was $93 for $1 with a second choice running second. So the winner of the last race was a much, much lower price in the win pool than anywhere else, and it wasn't even close.
Wow.
Yeah, sort of interesting. Anyhow, I don't want any part of Kenner. And I'm as Danfusky Island is the logical second horse. I mean, cool, Lauban. It's not like it'll be the first time we've seen a Mark Casse horse that he ran on the turf that turned out to be better on the dirt.
Yeah.
And this horse didn't run badly in
He
either
ran well
start.
last time.
Yeah, this horse ran
He
fine
ran
last
well
time.
last time.
I agree. This horse ran fine. And Bucker too came back and ran okay in the next start. Race number 4 was dramatically changed when 2 seconds before the show started, the scratches came out. It's not like that's ever been an issue before, so it was just, I'm sure, an aberrational today. It's not like it doesn't happen all the time. So with Analyzer coming out, unfortunately, we didn't have the necessary time to re-handicap the race because this is a significant scratch.
It is.
Because you not only take out the horse to beat, but you take out a major speed in this race. So the race went from being one race to a completely different race 37 seconds before the show started. Go ahead. You were going to try to beat him with Ammirati. Let me ask you a question. You like Ammirati without any speed in the race?
I don't like him as much. No, I do not. I do not. Yeah.
What excuse do you have for his last race?
I don't have an excuse for his effort.
He was awful.
He seems to be a little bit of an in and outer, and I'm hoping if you like this horse today, you have to be hoping that holds true, and that today is a day where he's supposed to come back with a better effort. He's third off a 5-month break. Obviously, he's facing considerably easier company than he did last time with Value Proposition and even Maxwell Esquire. I mean, getting back to the miles probably going to help. A little more distance is probably going to help.
If they had an eighth of a mile last time, how would he have
but
done?
I'm just saying, overall, I'm not talking
that's an
Andy,
invalid
you
argument.
base way too much on their last effort sometimes. His last effort was terrible.
Anthony,
they could have went 7 miles last time. He didn't run last time.
Can we give the people at home a couple of minutes to gather themselves because they're probably laughing so hard at that comment? You pick every horse based on its last effort, Anthony.
I do not.
You pick more horses off wins.
I do.
You ignore. There was a horse the other day, a Kimmel horse, that was super, super logical based on one turf race, and you said, well, why do you run him on the dirt the next 2 times? You're actually the one who looks too much
The
last
horse ran
race.
well.
But the problem is that you're talking about a short-priced horse. A horse that may likely be favored here, whose last race was terrible. And the reality is, his race 2 back wasn't that good either. His race 2 back was totally a function of the fact that there was an extremely contested pace. So, forgetting about his last race, which was atrocious, and he's the favorite, and I think does matter, because I actually don't put way too much in their last race. I do it when they're short prices and they run aberrationally badly, and he did.
But he's run that badly.
2 races
Race
back.
3 back was not the race 3 back. He stunk.
See, that's the problem, Anthony. The race 3 back is actually the reason a lot of us liked him 2 back. The race 3 back, he was wide around the racetrack in an absolutely paceless race, and he had absolutely no chance. He actually ran well 3 back. He didn't run any better when he won 2 back than he ran 3 back. Arguably, he ran better 3 back, at least in my opinion. His race 2 back, he just caught a super quick pace, a contested pace that totally fell apart, and the race fell in his lap. He beat Voodoo Zip. I know you think Voodoo Zip is good. He was all out to win a 17-horse photo with a perfect trip by about a head the other day.
No, I don't think he's good, but
he's
I think he's better than these horses. I think he's faced considerably better.
Really?
If you look at this horse's last 4 races, you don't think he's faced better horses than he's facing today?
I think his last race was awful. And I think you have to be a little worried about his last race. I'm sorry. Of course he can win, Anthony. We're talking about a horse that's going to be 2 to 1 or less in this race. But I think his flaws are more extreme because he's pace dependent.
I guess in this, but there was really,
the 2 horses you have second and third. And listen, to be fair,
Tone's really
you
moved.
had no time to handicap the race either because you didn't know about the scratch either, to be fair. But Atone is going to be forward now.
I would have thought of putting
Atone
Atone on top.
So a horse that he was comparable to, now he has a significantly bigger tactical advantage because, yes, it would have been harder to beat Analyze It. But with Analyze It in the race, he gets more pace. and that hurts a tone and helps him at least a little bit. Now it's the opposite situation, and frankly, Own Agenda, who's not particularly quick, but with Luis Saez, I won't be surprised if he's a little bit more forward in here. Honestly, I think it's between the 1, 3, 4, 7 in this race. I have the one that might be the bigger price of those horses, the second biggest, because I don't think winning factor hasn't really won. I don't know where else you're supposed to go in this race, but I will say something else about this race. What about Wolfie's Dynaghost? He has never had a chance in a turf race to be clear on the lead.
He's supposed to be clear.
Well, Trevor McCarthy, the only way he's not in front with this horse is if he falls off coming out of the gate.
Stop saying those things.
Well, Anthony.
But yes, if this horse isn't in front today, something happened at the break.
Right. So
1,000,000% right.
And I'm going to tell you something, now that I'm thinking about it, now that I've had a little more time to handicap it, I would have had Wolfie's Dynaghost in here because Wolfie's Dynaghost becomes a much more significant player in this race. I mean, I know his turf races haven't been that good, but the reality is they haven't been that bad. And this field is not that good, and he's going to be clear.
His best races are when he's forward.
Right.
He's supposed to be.
Oh, he's in front.
He's supposed to be in front in here.
Unless somebody goes on a
Trevor's
ridiculous
not
mission.
going to.
Trevor doesn't take away from his horses their natural
not.
talents, and he was going to be stalking the number 2 anyway in this race. Now he's in front.
Now he's in front.
You know, this is a race. We'll re-handicap it for you on the air since we didn't have a chance before the show.
Well,
and honestly,
you guys will.
I'm not. By the way, the
If
more
he's
I'm sitting here thinking about it,
he's staring at you at 12 to 1 on the board.
well, he's not going to be 12 to 1, but he's going to be. People are going to realize he's lone speed. It's going to be 6 to 8 to 1.
He's supposed to be loose.
I might have put him on top, honestly. If this race had looked like this, I might have taken a shot and put him on top.
Well, I mean, it's really hard to trust Own Agenda or Tone. You've made a strong case against Emirati. Yeah, where else are you supposed to go? He's a little bit of a fresh face.
Yeah.
He's a little bit of a fuzzy, right? First time against older horses. He's going to be loose now.
Can I say something about the first time with older horses? It is the end of November.
Yeah,
Does
I know,
it
but there are a lot of trainers. There are a lot of trainers.
There are a lot of trainers that do a lot of dumb things.
You might disagree with them, but there are a lot of trainers that still feel strongly about it.
There are a lot of trainers who are still living in the 50s. I get it, but I'm not one of them. And the reality is that if 3-year-olds aren't competitive with older, how did Soldier Rising do yesterday? He was a mediocre ride away from winning that race. You probably picked the right horse.
Right.
I don't understand how the winner of that race was a few lengths off the pace, and he's about that much slower, and he was back in Home Depot.
How's he last early?
Because it's not looking at how races are developing. Irad Ortiz figured it out with Serve the King.
He
Jose
gave him
did not figure it out.
He gave him a great ride.
Absolutely.
Huh.
And Soldier Rising was too far out of it. And I didn't like Soldier Rising, so I'm not whining. But I think there's an argument.
And
that
when
he
you give
race.
a ride like that, you know you're going to wind up 5, 6, 7 wide in the stretch. You're destined to be outside.
Race number 5.
That was
Take
the
a look
nicest
at
in that
Goodnight
ride.
Love, Goodnight Olive. I like Goodnight Olive in here. She looks pretty good. What price is she going to be? I don't think you'll get 4 to 5.
2 to 5. I would lock in 4 to 5 now if I could. 2 to 5. I mean, what's she supposed to be?
It's a bigger field.
But you want to talk about the argument of where are you supposed to go if you don't like her? Cafe Society, I guess, but I mean, this is a strong effort. She ran well first time out. She came back with this is just a giant effort. This is Guarana-esque. It's a big effort.
She ran well.
Yeah, she ran well.
She's obviously pretty good. And I don't know who you're supposed to beat her
I don't
with here.
either.
I'm not trying to beat her. Cafe Society feels like an interesting horse. She'll just not have great numbers off long layoffs. You know that 250-day plus layoffs in dirt turning back. He's 0 for 9 with only 2 on the board, and 6 of them were very short prices.
Wow.
She ran well in her first start.
She did.
I mean, she didn't run that badly in the Demoiselle, to be fair to her.
Right.
And obviously,
The troublesome
one horse,
races-
the Demoiselle, turned out to be good, not the second horse, Milfoil.
The troublesome races,
Well, she ran back pretty quickly. She ran back in 17 days.
That's her excuse.
And
yes.
you know, she lost to Malathot. I don't want to hold against her. And her first best race was Fresh, or her first race. I think her third race pretty good. She's pretty good, but she might be in against a horse who's just too tough.
I mean, she has to get exponentially faster.
I'm probably an idiot for giving Making Sense another chance, but she does have plenty of races good enough. But obviously, her one race in 2021 and her only race in the last 13 months was an atrocity.
That's the problem with her too, right? She's a filly that always had some time between starts, and now you see one race since October of last year. Yeah, and that one race since October of last year, she got beat 25 lengths. So
Yeah, she's
it's
a
a
little
problem.
tough. Anyway,
I don't know who else you're supposed to talk about in here. I
we're
really
going to
don't.
talk about the late pick 5 after a quick break.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Big A, Anthony Stabile, and Andy Serling going over the late pick 5 here. Thought race number 6 was confusing. And all I know about race number 6 is if Can't Hurry Love wins,
You're going to lose?
I'll remain a bigger fan of the Supremes than I am of this horse. I've just seen. Anthony, how can there not be at least 1 or 2 firsters? that are
I
better
put a
than this
third,
horse?
but yes.
I don't want any part
I
of
agree
her.
with you.
I want strangers. I mean, frankly, if I take anybody with experience, I'll take this horse, Belarus, who's not very fast, but has some time off and did run a stake in her second start and has been bet in both of her races.
Yeah, she's also got some, half to Amundsen and Winner's Laugh, a couple of fast horses. I hear what you're saying about Can't Hurry Love. This is Belarus finishing second in the Lady Finger up at the Finger Lakes. But she's another one, right, Andy? You'd almost imagine that.
Right,
That has
I know.
to be a couple of
Right,
firsts.
that's the thing. Because even if she gets faster from there, she's still got to get 3 or 4 legs faster to be as fast as the figures that Can't Hurry Love is running. So maybe I have her somewhere, in the bottom. I have her 4th, like you do. I just want firsters, and the problem is it's a lot of guesswork. It seems like a lot of people were guessing with the Practical Joke you picked on top. I read Ortiz. Did you look up? Does he ride much for Jeremiah Englehart?
So the short numbers have him riding 28 horses. The numbers have him on the form riding 28 horses in 2020 and 2021 combined at 25% for a 172 ROI. Here at Aqueduct, they're 1 for 2 together.
Okay, so they're irrelevant. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. There's not a lot of pedigree in the dam side for this one. The Practical Jokes were hot, though.
Yeah, 0 for 1. The dam was 0 for 1.
Her horses, 7 horses were very mediocre.
Yeah, nothing really. She hasn't really thrown much. This horse's work tab is kind of interesting, a little spotty. You see the 47 and change up on the Oklahoma back on closing weekend at Saratoga. And then you see the gap from
Workout
October.
reports, my good friend.
Sporadic.
Workout reports, my
Yeah,
good friend.
well,
You'll get there.
listen,
3 or 4 years from now, you'll be looking at it.
Very sporadic.
Yeah, sure.
I don't love the fact that this horse misses a couple of weeks between
But you've got her on
works.
top nonetheless.
Yeah, because I didn't know what else to
How
do
can
here.
you resist a horse named Yo Cuz? I mean, come on, Ant. How could you resist?
I was with Yo Cuz. It was with Antonio Monday night.
There you go. That's right. There you go. Well, the 3 Yo Cuz who you've got second, I have nowhere, but it is Bill Mott with a filly first time starter. He had a first time starter run second yesterday at Churchill in the last race. I guess with the Steve Asmussen firster. I'm tired of watching them beat me.
That was another weird one yesterday. The second time starter never was close to the lead.
Finished
the
second.
Balcasaris
Well,
horse.
the Balcasaris horse wasn't losing.
That
Ran
was
an
ready to
81
roll
buyer in
yesterday,
that
huh?
field. That horse ran yesterday. Well, it was a little against the track last time out, trying to go too far. But kisses for Emily. This horse took a ton of money in the debut. And for John Toscano to get bet like that and was awful. I don't know. I wish I could have seen something.
Pair
I'll
of
use
blip-
that horse.
me too.
I've got Lilu. I almost put the horse second. A Practical Joke from my man Dave Duggan.
Yes.
Don't see him with too many first-time starters, but why can't this horse be a runner?
Dan was
So,
first for 1 for 13. Is the first foal to race, but yeah, it's a practical joke.
8-9-2 on a guess, but
Yeah.
honestly, we'll see.
A lot of guesswork here. A lot of guesswork
Let me
here.
give you a piece of advice, Anthony. Watch the tote for clues.
It starts to late. Well, you say that tongue firmly planted in cheek.
No,
but
that's the
if one of these
that's
firsters-
the line you hear from people that do no work,
Yeah.
that do nothing.
If
and
one
say,
of these
as though
first,
that's a
if
piece of
one of these
handicapping advice.
firsters, if one of these firsters take a ton of money, I think in a race like
Well,
this,
of course,
you have
but
to.
I mean, once again, this is obvious.
I would
stuff.
imagine it would
we're
be-
not talking to a bunch of handicappers.
I
that
would
don't want to.
imagine if a horse takes money in here, it would be Jeremiah Englehart's first-time starter. That would just be a guess to me. That horse has a weird work tab.
Let's
and
go on to race number
story.
7. We're getting
So there's
into
a story
fantasy
coming.
land over here. Race number 7. Oh, we didn't watch. Oh yeah, race number 7. So Before we discuss replays, hang on, Francisco. I know you're excited, and so am I. Why do you like Miss J. McKay?
This horse ran too poorly. First time Christoph last time. So it's a year, almost a year. She was running against much better last year. And I just thought that last time out she probably needed the race.
We have this really cool thing on the website.
Here we go.
No, you have the internet, right? They got dial-up still at the home in Howard Beach? You've heard of the internet, right?
I got it
You
on
also
this thing.
work with a guy who spends a lot of time doing this thing called Track Trends every day. You, on the other hand, can't even take 10 seconds to say, I wonder if Andy had anything down for Track Trends on the day that I'm picking a horse that stunk up the joint, who, by the way, I agree with you, is obviously a better horse than these if she can find herself. Why don't I take a look at Track Trends? Andy spent 10 to 15 minutes doing this day. I could spend 10 to 15 seconds. To go. You have the internet, right? Because if not, I could probably make a
Can
call.
I call my mom?
Call Phyllis and see if I'll get it in. Yeah, no. Okay, if you check Track Trends, you might have seen the suggestion, and not an absolute fact, but a suggestion that there were a lot of horses on the rail that day that didn't run particularly effectively on the turf. And that was after we had gotten a whole bunch of rain. And it felt to me like there was a possibility that maybe horses were bogging down a little bit inside. So that's the excuse that I'll give her. Now, I'm not giving that as an absolute, these are
Right.
sort of guesses, but I think that is something reasonable, and it's the Track Trends page. I can show it to you on the computer.
I think I can
You can find it? Okay, because your buddy, he spends some time doing it. You could look at it occasionally, just like once a year. Special day.
Pick the date. You want your birthday?
Today. Not my birthday. My birthday's Belmont Stakes Day this year. It's
Oh, that's
depressing.
right.
Anyway, I think this horse is interesting off that, but I got to tell you something. At 8-1, though, this horse is
There's no
good
shot
deal.
she's 8-1, right?
It's a little hard to believe, but she was bad last time, and Irad drops off, so maybe we'll look at that. I'm going to bet on my sweet wife in here, and I'm certainly going to use Miss J. McKay. We'll take a look at the My Sweet Wife race last time out, which Princess Fawzia also won, and made Princess Fawzia a winner of 4 straight race. This was a nightmare for My Sweet Wife, and we're going to show the whole race because Princess Fawzia also wins. So she didn't break that well, and then she sort of got bumped off or something. It's kind of weird. It's kind of hard to tell. And then, keep in mind, this was a paceless race that she was in. She comes rushing up the rail. There she is. See her? Anthony, she's rushing up the rail.
Rushing up the rail.
There you go. She's rushing up the rail. Okay. So she rushes up the rail, and then very shortly we're going to get to the break of the turn. This did not go well. This was a nightmare for this horse. Here comes the break of the turn. You know where she ends up? Exactly where
Dead
she
last.
was when she broke badly before she rushed up. So now, all this nonsense has taken place in the first, 3/8 to 7/16 the race. They haven't even begun to run the race yet, and she's been through this complete ordeal. A lot of horses, frankly, would
Would've just
completely
spent a
give it
bit.
up.
Yeah.
And she doesn't. She actually runs reasonably effectively given all this nonsense. Now, I know it was a turf race, but I got to tell you something, Anthony. The more I looked, and I just didn't want to pick the one, I didn't think she'd be 8-1.
Oh, she winds up back on the inside now.
It just seemed like every single thing that could go wrong for this horse went wrong. It's not like she's ever shown that much ability in the turf, but it's not like she's that bad. And, yeah, Royal Address might win this race. Do we totally trust Royal Address off
No.
one race?
How can you?
I mean, she's the horse to beat if she runs that race. But, wow, you don't have Royal Address. Oh, you have her 4th, 3rd. Oh, no, you're her 3rd. Who's the 11?
Stolen Holiday.
Well, a Gotten Girl did run well the other day. I'll give you that. She's at the 8th.
She was terrible.
That's my problem with her. Isn't that a problem?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what, Anthony? You're right. I put too much on the last race. Not you. You're not ever.
I thought the 6 furlong suited her. That was
She got
it.
an unbelievably great
She
trip
did.
last night.
She did.
Got some ride by Javier. Okay, I didn't really like her, but we'll see how it works out. What about Reagan's Edge, the 3? She was actually my 5th pick. I did want to show her last race. I'm afraid it's not a very good field. She was a little unlucky in this race. She actually broke really well, and then Ryder just took her back out of the race. Now, she's not a horse with much speed, but she's a little quicker than that. She was completely lost. See her between horses right now? She wants to angle out, right? Brian here, righty. That horse blind switches are there. So now she's sort of going back inside. She doesn't really have a chance at this point to get out. maybe this race was just totally collapsing at the end, and that's an extreme possibility. This horse actually ran a little bit in that race. Now, I just don't know if she's really good enough in here, though.
Yeah, I don't
She was
either.
once a pretty good horse.
Let me ask you this question. What's wrong with Princess Fuzzy?
Well, I don't know. She's gotten ideal trips in fortunate situations because out of her last race, I want the 7. The 7 is going to be 10 to 1, and she's going to be
3
a
to
third
1.
of that price.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So,
but she can win.
Anthony, a lot of horses can win this race. Gotta Go Mo can win. I don't really like her, but she can win. Reagan's Edge can win. I don't think the 11 can win, but you do. I mean, so at least 60% of this field can win. This is not an easy race.
No.
And you know what? This is another, I'm going to give you another. Trip is key.
You thinking about taking out your trainer's license with all these adages today? These tidbits?
Just trying to help people.
You sound
And I'm just trying to help.
Sunday. You're,
Just
you're,
trying to
you're,
help
You're whipping and
the
driving to
viewers
the
at
wire
home.
today, man.
No, I'm good. I'm good. You know, the whole scratch thing threw me badly off my game. I
Got
think
your
you
Islanders,
understand
got
that.
your Islanders colors on. How'd they do last night?
They lost.
That
Big
stinks.
home opener.
That stinks.
I think people are still excited to get back to Belmont.
Of
Park.
course. Of course.
I think a lot of them took the N6 bus.
I would imagine so.
A lot of people on the N6. Really? I've never taken it at 11 at night, but I will eventually, the way things are going. I'll probably at 4 in the morning. We'll be like 24 hours at some point. Public information, the last race. You know, no. Oh, you've got race 8, Francisco. I think he's fallen asleep.
I don't have any. I don't have.
We'll get our picks for that race up after this. We'll find out. Do you like or not like this horse?
I don't like this horse.
Why don't you like this horse? This horse, I thought, maybe even arguably moved a smidgen too soon in this race. What do you got against public information?
It's not that I don't. I'm going to have the horse 5th. I thought it
don't
was
like
more
the horse?
interesting. I don't really like the horse.
I know he's an ex-Chad Brown, but I
I
think
don't
we've
really
gotten
like- I
past
don't really
that.
like anybody
This horse
in
has
here.
run the
That's
two
the
fastest
problem.
races run since Chad Brown.
Yeah.
When Chad Brown had it, now it's in Mike Maker's barn. But you don't really like this horse. Okay. You think there'll be some pace in here, maybe a little bit? There is on paper. I mean, doesn't mean there will be any, but.
Right.
Well, one
See,
of the
I'm
speed
trying-
horses being ridden by Ruben Silvera. And by the way, Ruben hasn't got the message yet. You don't try with speed horses. He actually sends speed horses.
Well, yeah, that horse, the 7th horse, the Pine, will be forward. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the good news is, Anthony, you're right about this one. You didn't look at the last race to pick your horse in here. The question is, which race did you look at? Because I can't find it. So
I'm
looking.
I did not look up
there
the
like an
morning
angle?
line here. I thought this horse would be bigger on the line. I still think this horse will be a
Like
bigger
40 to
price.
1?
I think this horse will be 10, 12 to 1. I like 5 or 6 horses in here, and I just
well,
wanted a
why'd you
horse
pick
that
this
I
one?
thought was going to be the biggest price. I'm going to toss the last race. I think
Why?
I think the last race he ran against a couple of horses. I think the winner might be all right. I think the 3rd horse could be okay.
So
He
what?
ran against Big Everest first time out.
But
I
wait,
think
he
Big
didn't do a
Everest will be all right.
stitch of running
But he
last
won. He I understand that, but he won the Kentucky Downs race, and he won it
But
pretty
wait a
easily.
second. You are on record on the show. And by the way, I'm going to say you're probably right. Is saying you don't like Kentucky Downs for
It's hard to listen. I thought this horse was going to be a bigger price.
But the only time this horse lifted a hoof,
I got it.
I don't care what price it is. The only time this horse lifted a hoof was Kentucky Downs. And by the way, you're ahead of the curve on that, and I think you're right. Kentucky Downs form is pretty unreliable.
Yeah, this horse
some
may
horses
stink.
run, some don't.
This horse may stink, and like I said, part of the reason I picked the horse was because I thought the horse was going to be a bigger price. Had I known, I probably would have taken the fuzzy, the 10 American Doro.
I don't know what to do with that horse.
I don't know what to do with a lot of horses in here. That's the problem.
That horse got 2 huge Time Form US ratings in his last 2 starts at Laurel, but they were yielding turf races. And I didn't really dig
That's
into it
his
enough.
problem,
I'll tell you
right?
one thing about this horse. If this horse, the 10, runs back to his Time Form US figs in his last 2 races, I know Craig Mikowski will be all over Twitter, and rightfully so, as he should be. This horse should be about 3 to 5 in here.
See, the problem is his
But
3 races. He has 4 turf races. One's a sprint on the firm.
And the other ones are on
And the
yielding
other
turf.
3 are all yielding, and they're all significantly faster
Their
races.
slow time. The last race must have been a bog, 148.
Right. So you don't know really what to do with them. But like I said,
We got to move along.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree. Why do I have the 12 on top in this race? Honestly, because
Gotta have 12s here.
Because that horse is supposed to get some pace.
Yeah.
That horse gets back to the turf. That horse lost to Pomolino and Hilliard in his race 2.
Here they got to be 3 lengths in
Hilliard
the,
finished ahead of Soldier Rising in the Hill
in
Prince.
the Hill Prince.
It just seems like a super logical horse on the outside. And I will agree with you on the line. It's hard to see this horse the same price as your horse. It's hard to look at these two horses and say
I
that they'll both
have
be
to
the same.
imagine High Tide's a significantly shorter price, right?
Feels like. What about Girl Dad, who finished second last time at Keeneland? We'll take a look at that race. I mean, it's not like she's bad. I mean, why is she impossible in here? She was on the pace in the Tulane race, 2 back, a race that completely and totally incinerated. And then she sort of relaxed a little bit. And Manny had a big day yesterday, by the way. 3 wins for Manny Franco.
He ran well in 4 of his last 5 starts.
fifth,
The race 2 back was, I guess, a little troublesome. He got himself involved in a little bit of a pace.
Oh, that pace fell apart too
Yeah.
bad. What about Montatham? You know, I don't know what happened to him last time. Gets a rider change. I thought he ran very well in that Turn of Events Ring of Fire race. He could have arguably been second best in that race. He had some real trouble in there. His
He ran
races
okay in
against
the
Panster
Panster
and
race,
Future
too.
Victory were not that bad.
No.
He's going to be a big price. These connections never get bet. I just didn't think it was impossible. He drew well towards this.
Not impossible.
This is a wild race.
It's a weird race. Montatham and Girl Dad probably helped by the draw. High Tide.
Not helped.
Not
But, you
American
know,
Doro, not helped.
If you think that the pace is going to be at least honest, it spreads the field out enough. There's enough
does.
to run to the first turn
To find some
that you
position.
get to
Yes.
1 or 2 wide.
You should.
You're supposed so. I don't worry
Who's
about
on
it
these
as
horses?
much.
You got
know?
Loscano on High Tide, so you know he's going to find position. And we'll see
hope.
what Vargas is
Race
going to
number 9, the Key Sense, a terrific race. We'll try to do it in about 30 seconds. We'll start out by looking at replay of Classy Edition. Okay, there's my position here.
Wow.
I'm against this horse. I don't like this horse. First of all, I don't like the fact that he didn't run on New York Bred Showcase Day. Now, maybe that was the plan that Todd had all along. Maybe he thought it was, he didn't want to run it back 4 weeks later. Maybe that's the case. And I'm going to tell you something.
After running him back in 19 days, that could have very well been the case.
No, I agree. And he is back here, so it's not like something serious went on.
Right.
I get David Aragona's opinion, which was not wrong, that the figs were tough to make for his debut because the track had changed, et cetera, et cetera. The aberration change doesn't make sense. Velvet Sister came back and ran 11 points worse. And the second horse ran 5 better at Finger Lakes. I'm wondering if this race isn't as fast as it looks in the figs. Now, she won easy. I don't disagree. I just think there's so much going on with the other contenders in here that to default to her at a short price is a mistake. Can she win? 100%. Is she the horse to beat? Very possibly. I want to bet against her.
Okay. I like both. I loved both of her races. I thought she was.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm not. I don't love her first race, but what about Cupid's Heart? I mean, this horse ran last time.
This was good first time
This horse
out.
completely blew the brake. Not like somebody knocked her over. Blew the brake.
Yeah.
She moved up in the middle of the race. She was wide. She ran
She
off.
galloped too. galloped too.
And it wasn't a slow race. I mean, a lot of times horses like that, you go, oh, and you look at the fig and it's a 57. You go, well, she beat a bunch of
Came
bad
home
horses.
12. She came home 12 and change after the poor
And
break.
it's hard to believe that she won't be more professional out of the gate.
You'd hope so. She ran too well after the break to not think that she won't be more professional today.
You don't know.
This is a pretty easy. I mean, she did this pretty easily.
She was good. She
Yeah,
was
she was
very,
good.
very good in this race. I was talking to Bruce Levine yesterday, her trainer, and we were talking about how tough this race came up. Because this race came up super, super tough. I mean, even Miss Alacrity down on the rail. She's been running on the turf since her debut.
Yeah.
Who's to say her debut, a 10-length win with a 63 fig back in May, you gonna tell me that she couldn't be 10, 15 points faster 6 months later?
Absolutely.
For Wesley Ward?
Puts her right
She's
there.
a player there, and making my move. We'll take a look at her win at Saratoga. Well, I put her on top. I don't have a strong preference for anybody in here, but I'm going to tell you something. This horse is pretty good. I mean, she ran well in her next race on the turf.
Yeah, she ran behind fillies that
And-
have made some money, and Bubble Rock and Mystic Eyes. They've run well pretty much in all of their
Well,
stuff.
Mystic Bubble Rock was extremely unlucky in the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah.
She didn't run well, but she was unlucky. She blew the brake, and then she just had it was a nightmare. It just kept getting
But
worse.
for the most
where I
part,
ran.
both of those horses have been fairly consistent.
Gallon Rush didn't run badly in the subsequent race.
No.
That was the turf sprint. Was that Belmont? Last year,
Mystic Eyes came back and won.
We won the same race.
Yeah.
I think this horse may be okay. I'm looking forward to this race. This race came up super strong.
Well, I agree with you because there are contenders in here, and there's also a chance that Class A edition is pretty good.
No, I agree. I'm going to try to beat her, but I'm not going to be surprised when I'm wrong. I just figured she'd be a short price. Race number 10. take a look at Partners Hope and Rogers Ginger when they ran second and third. Does it bother you at all how badly Rogers Ginger ran out of this race in subsequent starts? Was claimed by Mike Maker out of the next start, and I'm starting to worry a little bit that Partners. Oh, this is a race that Rogers Ginger actually ran badly. I'm starting to worry that Partners Hope's just going to kind of ways to lose. I bet the horse 2 back. I know Ring of Fire's turned out to be okay and got a good trip that day. It wasn't as good as Partners Hope's. So Hope's came right up the fence. It's starting to pile up the seconds. That's what worries me. Horse to beat, but
I put the horse second for that very reason. Yeah, starting to find ways to just not get there.
You did this because you like Colton. Should we show the video of Colton and his friends?
I would love to. Colton, our friend Colton Rinaldi, of course.
Of course.
Saratoga.
Of course.
Everybody knows
It's
Colton.
like Madonna.
Colton's running around Saratoga with the Chad
Like
Brown
Adele,
hat.
Madonna, it's like one
Runs
day,
around the end zone. The baseball
Basquiat.
season's wrapping up.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, anyway, why do you like this horse ran well last time? Good pick. Oh, that's right. You're not concerned with their last races.
Such a jerk. You really are such a
I'm going to torture you for that comment the rest of your life.
I am very well
I'm an
aware.
acknowledged jerk,
Believe
but
me,
that was the dopiest thing you've ever said.
This horse's form, I think, is a little dirtied up. Chases Ranger Fox first time out.
Okay.
Runs off the turf.
Ranger Fox? How many races has he won since that race?
Andy,
How many races has Ranger Fox won since that race?
Sources have made in 40 today. Right? He dropped the horse right in. The race 2 back.
Yes,
I thought this horse ran really, really well 2 back.
He did.
I don't know
he
what
also
happened
was setting
last
a
time.
monster. He didn't run that well 2 back. What he did was he showed up. Let me ask you a question. Say his form's dirty up. Maybe his actual form are the 3 races besides the race 2 back, and he's dressed up by the fact that he showed up one day. Now, I hear you.
Cutting back,
Why is the cutback good? It's a Pioneer of the Nile.
Why is Jimmy cutting him back?
Because he's searching
desperate.
for spots to run him in.
You say
Turf season's
desperate.
coming to an end. What's he supposed to do with a poor horse?
I'll tell you one thing. I know
Skip
one thing.
a race he can run in?
I know one thing. He'll be forward with Trevor.
It's not very fast, Anth. It's not very
There's
fast.
not too many fast
I'll
horses
tell you who's
in
supposed
here.
to be in front.
Camouflage Kisser is supposed to be in front here,
No. Motion to Strike is supposed to be in front. Motion to Strike is quick.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's a half to 3 turf winners out of 6 to try
of
it. Now, the
6,
dam
yeah.
is 25 years old, getting a little bit long in the tooth, but there's plenty of turf pedigree. He'll be in front. I put him on top of the 2. The horse to be. I hear you with the 6. I'm teasing you about the 6. I hear you. My problem is, where are the other races, man? I got Rogers Ginger first time in the turf for Mike Maker. You're going to let this horse beat you? His debut
No.
was good enough to win here.
Yeah. No.
I think, I'll put it this way. You don't have him in the top 4. Can't you make a better case for Rogers Ginger using the same logic you use for the 6? In other words, at least Rogers Ginger we know can run well sprinting.
Yes. Yeah,
You know what
could.
I'm
You
just
could.
saying it's a similar type logic.
You could. Yeah.
Now he was awful. This is his last turf race.
Well,
The 11
the
has
problem is Rudy Rod bailed him out.
You know what's
They were
pedigree?
betting this horse.
The 11. Half to 7 turf winners out of
Yep.
11 to try it.
Dan was 4 for 8 with a win from 2 tries.
She's
on the
older than
turf.
me though.
There were two
Amazing.
mares in here
The
that were
four
like,
and- The 4 and 11 are both turf producers,
Yep.
but they're both getting old. Well, that was fun. We're done. Was that fun? I had fun.
I don't see you
By
now.
the way,
I
Albert,
won't see you till Friday.
that's right. Albert the Great died.
I saw that.
I meant to call. I'll call Nick on my way
I
upstairs.
saw that. Yeah.
Ernie Munich was saying to me because he died. We were talking about it, and Ernie said, you talk about Albert the Great sometimes, and he said, we were looking at his PPs, and Ernie's like, I'm looking at his PPs now, and sometimes we just forget to appreciate.
Falls through the cracks. He falls through the cracks big time.
He ran a zillion
was a
110
monster.
plus buyers. He ran
Monster.
huge in that Breeders' Cup where he ran 3rd at Belmont on the dead rail. Unbelievable. One of the wider.
St. Liam, right?
St. Liam.
05, yeah. St. Liam.
Yes.
I forget who was second. I remember he was 3rd.
Flower Alleys?
No.
No, he was in the Saki.
He was in Saki and Giants
Saki,
Causeway.
2001. That's
On
what
the
I'm saying.
right down
Giants
on the rail.
Causeway and Saki,
Yeah.
2 bums. No, not Giants Causeway, Saki and Tisnow. Another bum, Tisnow.
The only 2
Anyway,
times
we got to
in the
go.
Classic.
Go over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, why aren't you a Naira Bets? Become a member. Go to NairaBets.com. Use bonus 200. Sign up, match, have all sorts of fun, and you'll be supporting racing in New York. The most important thing.
That's the most important thing.
100, Woodbine, and Delmar today. Opt in. The second most important thing for signing up for Naira Bets is to opt in. I can do it. Anthony can do it. That means that anybody over the age
I have
of 0
internet, so I can do it.
But it's not clear you have internet. We're going to check on that. 11:30 to 6 today. The first 4.5 hours in FS2, the last 2 in FS1. I am going on for the first.
No, my mom texted me. We have internet.
You do?
Yeah.
Phyllis? Thank you. You know what, Phyllis? Show him how to use it. Pete, show him how to use it, because clearly he may not know. Anyway, we're done. Anthony, thanks. It's been fun as it always is.
Happy Thanksgiving, pal.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll talk to you, but
we'll be in touch.
Yeah.
I'll be here. I'll be here. I'll be here for about 100 straight hours. We're just organizing races from everywhere.
I'll bring you some stuffing.
Bye.
Hello, racing fans, and once again, welcome to Aqueduct. Mostly sunny skies right now. The temperature in the upper 50s today. The main track is fast. The turf courses are firm. Portable rail at 12 feet on the outer turf and at 9 feet on the inner. In today's first race, scratch 1, Dakota Dancer, 8, Steppenhawk, and 13, Madame Rose. Scratch 1, 8, and 13. Number 6, Road to Remember, wears a hood. Number 12, Princess Ariana, wears shoes front and hind. In the second race, number 8, Tamburo Sox, wears a hood again. Third race, the Notebook Stakes, there are no changes. In the fourth, scratch 1A, Hawkish. 2, Analyze It. Scratch 6, Milton the Monster. 11, Backside of the Moon, and 12, Chris and Dave. Scratch 1A, 2, 6, 11, and 12. In race 5, scratch number 9, Fight on Lucy. Scratch the 9. In today's sixth race, a rider change on the 4, Sunset Louise, to Luis Saez. Luis Saez rides number 4, Sunset Louise. Scratch 10, Mrs. Boomer, and 14, Raymond Road. In the sixth, scratch 10 and 14. In the seventh race, scratch number 6, Amalfi Princess. 10, Bold Confection. Scratch 12, So Gracious. 13, Halo City, and 14, Prairie Fire. Seventh race, scratch 6, 10, 12, 13, and 14. A couple of changes for number 8, Tass. Tass runs with 1 aluminum pad on and wears a hood again. In today's 8th race, scratch 13, Blue Grotto through the 16, Corkman. Scratch 13, 14, 15, and 16. 9th race, the Keystone Stakes. Number 8, She's a Wild Joker, wears a hood. And in today's 10th race, number 7, Devour, will be ridden by Jalon Samuel. Samuel is on the 7, and scratch the also eligibles 13 through 16. Here at Aqueduct, the main track is fast. The turf courses are firm. The Sunday opener is coming up in 26 minutes at 11:50.
I think when people watch it on TV, they think that it's just a rich man's sport and there's nothing else involved. But when people actually come into this side of the sport and they see, and it puts a lot of dollars back into the industry in New York, and we need to protect that.
Working here, it's given me a life and a sense of security for not only myself financially, but also to provide for my family. Ideally, I would love to have my career here.
I'm a single mom. I was able to raise my son and put him through college, and something I'm very proud of, and I couldn't do it without New York Racing.
In the backstretch, there is a community that surrounds the racetrack. People that work day in, day out, loving what they are doing.
I mean, there's electricians, there's plumbers, there's carpenters, there's all these men and women who do jobs every day.
One horse requires a hot walker, a groomer, a person who's going to walk them to the races, the people who take care of them every day. And we need all these people to take care of the horses and to continue moving forward in New York racing.
This job has given me not only hope for tomorrow, but has made so many of my wishes come true.
We're really real people back here working our butts off to make this happen. It's a commitment. There's a lot of people back here that depend on this place.
I had the opportunity to go back to school thanks to the jobs provided for us here.
Our industry is vital within this state.
We are New York racing.
We are New York horse racing.
Jobs.
Opportunity.
Community.
We are New York racing.
We are New York horse racing.
We are New York racing.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.